What's going on, everybody? After a mini hiatus, the Power 5 is back. Hopefully, you caught me doing the college basketball show, the NBA tip-off show, Wager Talk today, and of course, the morning wager with my good friend Mark Zinno the last couple days. But now it's Saturday, and that means the start of the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, not to mention some interesting college basketball matchups as well. I'll be giving you a play on both Texans, Chiefs, and Commanders, Lions coming up in just a little bit. But first, I've got some early college hoops action for you, including the top 10 battle between Alabama and Kentucky, which tips off at noon Eastern. As a reminder, you can go ahead and smash that like button at any time when you're in agreement with me on these selections, or just feel free to comment down below if you disagree. Let me know why. Either way, let's keep the show interactive. One last thing before we get to the free plays right now at wagertalk.com. When you buy a 3-day all-access pass, we will throw in an additional day of service free of charge. So if you buy today, you're covered all the way through Tuesday. That's all my NFL playoff picks. Monday's college football national championship game, not to mention all the college hoops, NBA, and soccer along the way. I'm on a 28-16-1 all sports run entering the weekend. All right, that's enough of that. Let's now talk Alabama at Kentucky, which is a noon Eastern tip-off on ESPN. Talked about both these teams Tuesday here on the Power 5. Said to back Kentucky, who was laying points to shorthanded Texas A&M. Sure enough, the Wildcats got the job done and covered the spread there. Meanwhile, I said to fade Bama as a favorite on Tuesday, and they ended up losing outright at home to Ole Miss. Well, now it's time for the old switcheroo, as I'm going to back the Crimson Tide as short underdogs on Saturday. I just don't think Kentucky could continue to hold opponents to 27.9% from three. That's seventh best in the country. Against Ole Miss, Alabama scored a season-low 69 points and shot just 5 of 20 from three. So some positive regression likely coming for the Crimson Tide offensively in this one. Also, don't see them turning the ball over 21 times again like they did Tuesday. I'll take as many points as the odds makers are willing to give me in this one. Roll damn Tide. Another key SEC battle on Saturday sees number 1 Auburn traveling to Athens to take on number 23 Georgia. This one tips off 1 p.m. Eastern. No broom, no problem for the top-ranked team in the country Tuesday night. They ran past Mississippi State 88-66 for a 9th consecutive victory, but I think the ease with which the Tigers won that game has created some value in fading them here. Broom's absence, obviously a big deal, and this will be Auburn's first road test without their best player. While Georgia did lose earlier in the week, that was on the road at Tennessee. The Bulldogs led it the half in that game for the record. They also, last week, knocked off a pair of top 25 teams here at home, including Kentucky, by double digits. We don't need the Dogs to win here. Just keep it close. Once again, give me the points. Now who's ready to get their hands a little bloody on Saturday? Let's catch the falling knife known as Arkansas, as they are getting points at Missouri, 6 p.m. Eastern tip-off on the SEC Network. I know many of you have sworn off the Razorbacks. Losers of 4 in a row, both straight up and against the spread. Sure seems like Coach Cal is stealing a paycheck in Fayetteville, isn't he? But look, the Hogs have to turn it around at some point, right? And they are catching Mizzou in a letdown spot. On Tuesday, the Tigers went to Gainesville, upset Florida 83-82 as 10.5-point dogs. They've now covered 4 in a row. Quite the opposite from Arkansas. Just feels like a classic buy low, sell high spot to me. For the record, Calipari has vowed to make changes to the lineups he's playing. That should have a positive effect. And if you hate this play, the good news is you don't have to watch it. It's going to be going on opposite football. Before we get to the 2 NFL games, I must mention the fact I will have a 5% max bet in college basketball on Saturday. This is a really big deal. It will be my first 5% play in basketball this season and just my second 5% play period of 2025. The first, of course, back on New Year's Day. And I think we all remember what happened there. I took Ohio State against Oregon in the Rose Bowl. Hoping for a similar result today on the hardwood, so be sure to join me for that massive winner by going to wt.buzz/BP. Now it's time to talk about the NFL Divisional Round. We start in Kansas City, where the Chiefs are laying 8.5 to the Texans. Interestingly enough, the Chiefs are 0-5 against the number this season when asked to lay 7 or more points at the betting window. They have just 4 wins by 9 or more all season, so probably not a number you want to lay here, although Mahomes and company probably do make for a good teaser piece. You can go through the key numbers of 7-3 down to 2.5. The Texans, they are 0-5 straight up in franchise history in the division round. And furthermore, teams in the divisional round coming off an outright win as a home underdog in their wild card game, just 2-15 ATS. Totals players, note, this is the lowest over-under for any Chiefs playoff game with Mahomes at quarterback. That number currently sitting at 41.5, but it is the player prop market I am really interested in. for this game on the weekend edition of the Morning Wager. You heard me talk about how I like Texans tight end Dalton Schultz to go over his receiving yardage total. Well, let me now give you somebody to root for on the Kansas City side. Xavier Worthy, over 4.5 receptions. I know it's juiced pretty heavy, but for good reason. Worthy's usage has gone way up as the season has progressed. He's caught at least 5 passes each of the last 5 games he's played, and he did not play in the regular season finale against Denver. If the juice bothers you here, you can always just grab over 6 at plus money. After all, Worthy did have 7 catches in the regular season meeting versus the Texans. Bottom line, I expect a big night from the Kansas City rookie receiver. Commanders, Lions. I would not fault you for tossing the Lions in a teaser with the aforementioned Chiefs. I know a lot of respected minds think the Commanders could steal this game, but it's not a great spot for them playing a 3rd consecutive week on the road. Talked about that last week with the Chargers, who obviously got eliminated. Furthermore, Washington has been living quite dangerously. 5 consecutive wins that were decided on the final play of the game. But if you're dead set on backing the Commanders in some form, consider betting Austin Eckler over 24.5 yards receiving. This Lions defense is vulnerable to pass-catching running backs. In 6 of their last 9 games, they've allowed at least 30 yards receiving to an opposing running back. For the season, they were bottom 10 in yards allowed to opposing running backs. Let us now do a quick recap of the Power 5 for Saturday. Like Alabama in the points against Kentucky at noon Eastern. I like Georgia in the points at 1 Eastern against Auburn. And then I like Arkansas in the points against Missouri at 6 p.m. Eastern. So that's 3 SEC underdogs for me in college hoops. In the NFL, we targeted player prop. Xavier Worthy over 4.5 receptions for Kansas City against Houston. And then in the Commanders-Lions game, I like Commanders running back Austin Eckler to go over 24.5 yards receiving. Again, feel free to go ahead, comment down below with your thoughts on those selections, or just let me know how you're betting the NFL playoffs on Saturday. I always am interested in seeing that. By the way, in addition to that 5% max bet in college basketball for Saturday, I'll have 3 NFL plays as well. You can get that complete card for just $39, just $1.33 per NFL play, guys. Because the 5% college basketball play obviously costs $35. So a great deal if you want to buy the complete card. Also, don't forget about that 3-day special I spoke about earlier. That is going to do it for this edition of the Power 5. I sincerely hope you enjoyed it. Smash that like button if you did. You'll be able to catch me on WagerTalk's Last Call Saturday with Kelly Stewart. So make sure you click subscribe and you'll be instantly notified when that show goes live. Until next time, let's cash some tickets.